The room was too quiet. You could hear the soft hum of the projector and the faint clinking of coffee cups as the investors flipped through their files. Your hands trembled slightly on the clicker as you tried to stay composed. You had rehearsed this presentation a dozen times. You knew the material inside out. But today your mind wasn't cooperating. Jungkook sat at the head of the table, his usual calm and sharp expression in place. His dark suit was perfectly tailored, his eyes focused on you, or rather on the screen behind you. His presence alone filled the room. Let's begin, he said simply, glancing at his watch. You nodded quickly. Right, yes. So, as per our previous quarter's analysis, you started clicking to the first slide. Nothing happened. You pressed again, still nothing. Your throat went dry. Just a moment. You said, forcing a small smile, trying not to look panicked. You bent slightly over your laptop, tapping the keys, praying for it to work. One of the investors chuckled softly. Technical issue, I see. You felt your cheeks burn. Just a minor delay, you said, smiling nervously. It will be fine. Jungkook's jaw tightened, but he didn't say anything yet. He just leaned back, fingers drumming on the table lightly. Finally, the slides loaded, and you exhaled in relief. Here we go. So, as you can see from the data, your voice trailed off. The wrong file had opened. These were outdated numbers, the ones before the revisions Jungkook personally approved last night. The investors frowned as they looked at their printouts, confusion spreading across their faces. One of them, Mr. Han, raised his eyebrow. I thought you said the revenue growth was 28%. In the new proposal, these slides show 19%. You blinked, your mind blank. Oh, yes, that's because the updated version. I must have. Which one is correct? Another investor interrupted, his tone already impatient. You looked helplessly toward Jungkook, but he was staring at you with an expression that made your stomach twist, controlled, unreadable, but cold. The updated one, Jungkook answered smoothly. It seems there's been a mix-up. You nodded quickly. Yes, sir, I'm really sorry. I'll fix that right away. But when you moved to open the correct file, your hand slipped and the wrong spreadsheet popped up again, this time revealing half finished graphs and personal notes in the margin. Someone at the table cleared their throat, another whispered something to his colleague. It was mortifying. Seems like your manager wasn't ready for this meeting, Mr. Han commented bluntly, setting his pen down. The words hit you like a slap. You looked down, unable to meet anyone's eyes. Jungkook's expression didn't change, but the vein in his temple pulsed once. He straightened his posture. Let's move forward. I'll handle the rest. You stood there silent, your hands clasped tightly together as he took over the presentation. His voice was calm and confident, as always, but you could feel the disappointment hanging heavy in the air. You didn't dare look at him again. When the meeting finally ended, the investors shook hands with polite smiles, though their tone had lost its earlier warmth. Thank you for your time, Mr. John, one of them said. We'll review the proposal and get back to you. Jungkook gave a small nod. Of course, we appreciate your patience. They left the room one by one, the doors closed. Silence filled the space. You stood frozen, staring at the floor, heart hammering. The projector light flickered weakly behind you before turning off. Do you realize what just happened in there? His voice was low but sharp enough to make you flinch. I'm sorry, sir. You whispered, eyes on the floor. He laughed, not out of amusement but disbelief. He leaned back in his chair, eyes on you now, and the look in them made you want to disappear. Sorry? He repeated under his breath, then let out a short sigh. Sorry doesn't fix the impression we just left in that room, Ryan. I know, you whispered, voice barely audible. No, I don't think you do. He stood pushing his chair back. The movement wasn't rough, but it carried weight. You have been doing this for years. You have handled tougher clients, bigger presentations, cleaner work. So, what happened today? You act like it's your first day here. You bit your lip, eyes burning. I didn't mean to mess up, I just. Then don't. He cut in sharply, his tone firm but not yelling. You can't afford to make mistakes like that in front of them. Do you know what they'll say now? They'll question your capability, my capability for trusting you with that presentation. You flinched. I understand, sir. Do you? He asked, taking a slow step closer. Because when Mr. Hunt called you unprepared, you just stood there. You didn't even defend your work. That's not like you. I didn't know what to say, you murmured. Then say something, he snapped, his frustration spilling out. You are one of the best managers in this company. You know your numbers. You know how to lead. So why did you look like you were about to break down in front of them? Your chest tightened. You blinked fast, trying not to let the tears rise. I wasn't feeling well. It's just been a rough week. Crossed his arms, exhaling slowly. Rough week. He repeated, his voice quieter now. Fine, we all have rough weeks. But when you are in that room, none of that matters. You need to be composed, sharp. You can't let your personal life walk into that meeting with you. You nodded quickly, eyes still on the floor. You are right. I'm sorry. He ran a hand through his hair, pacing a little. His anger seemed to fade into exhaustion. You have never given me a reason to question your professionalism before. That's what frustrates me the most. One day, one day I let you lead without double checking everything because I trust you, and this happens. The word trust stung more than any scolding. You felt your throat close up. I didn't want to disappoint you, he said quietly. He stopped mid step, his expression softened for a brief second, but he did hid it quickly. Well, you did, he said, but his tone had lost its sharp edge. That was the breaking point. Your chest tightened painfully, but you forced a nod. I know. He sighed again, rubbing his forehead as if trying to push the stress away. Look, I'm not saying this to destroy your confidence. I'm saying it because I expect better from you, because I know you're capable of better. You looked up slightly, eyes glistening. I'll fix it. I'll send them the corrected data tonight. I'll write a follow up email and. No, he interrupted softly. Not tonight. You're not thinking straight, and I don't want another mistake. Just go. Sir, go. He repeated, his voice firm again. Take the rest of the day. Get yourself together. I don't want you near another client until you get your head straight. You nodded slowly, the lump in your throat too heavy to swallow. Okay. He exhaled, watching you quietly for a moment. And why in? He said finally. You paused at the door. Yes. His voice dropped lower, calmer but tired. You're not the type to lose focus. Whatever is going on, fix it. Don't let it eat into your work again. You hesitated, your voice small. I'll try. He stared at you for a second longer, then said almost under his breath, you are better than this. You know you are. Something in his tone, not disappointment but concern, made your heart ache a little more. You didn't know what to say, so you just nodded, blinking back the tears that were already threatening to spill. I'm sorry, you whispered again. I know. He said softly and turned away, picking up the file on the table as if to signal the conversation was over. Left quietly, your footsteps barely making a sound on the floor. As soon as the door closed behind you, the silence in the hallway felt heavier than before. You pressed your back against the wall, took a shaky breath, and finally let one tear slip down. He was right. You were better than this, but sometimes life didn't give you room to be perfect. You walked quickly down the hall, head down, hoping no one would notice the redness in your eyes. The moment the elevator doors closed, your breath hitched. You had been holding it since that meeting ended. Jungkook's voice still echoed in your head. You disappointed me. You are better than this. It hurt. Not just because he was your boss, but because deep down you respected him more than anyone else in that company. You stepped into the empty break room and let the door shut quietly behind you. The hum of the vending machine was the only sound. You poured yourself a cup of water, hands trembling slightly, and sat at the small table in the corner. Your phone buzzed again. When you looked at the screen, your chest tightened. They are saying if your brother doesn't pay the bail by tonight, they'll move him to the country jail. Please, Wayne, I don't know what to do anymore. I'm scared. You closed your eyes, pressing the phone against your forehead. The words blurred. Your younger brother, the one who had been struggling for months, had gotten into trouble again. Another fight, another arrest. You are tired of this now. You had already paid off part of his debt last month. You had used your savings. You had taken extra hours just to help him. But now this. And your mom? She sounded broken in her messages. It was too much. You placed your cup down and let your head drop into your hands. You didn't cry loudly, just small broken breaths, the kind you try to hide even when no one's there. You didn't want anyone to see you like that, especially not him. But of course, fate never worked in your favor. The door opened quietly. You didn't even look up. You just quickly wiped your cheeks, hoping whoever it was would grab their coffee and leave. But then came that deep voice, low, hesitant. Wyan. Your heart stopped. You froze for a moment before turning slightly, eyes wide. Sir? Jungkook stood by the door, his hand still on the handle. He wasn't in his usual composed stance. He looked uncertain, almost guilty. You tried to smile, avoiding to look at him. I was just getting some water. Your voice cracked halfway through the sentence, and that alone gave you away. He stepped closer, his eyes scanning your face, the tears you had missed wiping away, the tremble in your lip. You are crying? You shook your head quickly. No, I'm fine. It's nothing. He didn't say anything, just walked to the counter, poured himself coffee like he didn't want to make you uncomfortable, then leaned against the counter, arms crossed. The silence stretched. Then, softly, almost like he was afraid to push too far, he said, if this is about the meeting, I might have been too harsh. You looked down at your cup. No, you weren't. I deserved it. He said, that's not what I said. You blinked. What? I said, I might have been too harsh. He repeated, setting his coffee down. You made a mistake, but you looked different in there. Not careless, distracted. You hesitated. I just had a lot on my mind. Clearly, he said quietly, then after a pause, do you want to tell me what's going on? You almost laughed, not out of humor, but because the question felt impossible. He was your boss, the man everyone feared in the company, the man who rarely showed emotion, and yet right now his tone wasn't cold, it was human. You swallowed, your eyes stinging again. It's personal. Personal still affects work. He said gently, that's why I'm asking. You hesitated for a long moment before whispering, it's my brother. He frowned slightly. Your brother? You nodded, the words stumbling out now, raw and unfiltered. He got arrested again. He has been struggling for a long time. Fights, deaths, the wrong people. I've been trying to help him, but it's never enough. My mom is alone. She called during the meeting, and I couldn't focus. My head was just. Your voice broke at the end, and this time you didn't try to hide the tears. You pressed your palms against your eyes. I messed up everything today. I let my family down and I let you down. I don't even know how to fix any of it anymore. For a long second there was silence. You didn't dare look at him. Then you heard the sound of a chair sliding slightly. Jungkook sat down across from you, elbows resting on his knees. Wyan, he said softly. You looked up, eyes still glassy. I didn't know, he said quietly. If I had, I wouldn't have pushed you like that. I'm not. He said, rubbing his temple. I'm not great at reading people. I only saw the mistake, not the reason. You blinked. It's okay, sir. You don't have to explain. I do. You are one of the few people I actually depend on here. I shouldn't have raised my voice, especially if you are dealing with something like that. You bit your lip staring down. I didn't want anyone to know. I didn't want pity. He tilted his head slightly. You think that's pity? You frowned, isn't it? He leaned forward a little. No, it's called being human. The words hit you harder than you expected. You stared at him, speechless. He took a slow sip of his coffee, watching you quietly. Take tomorrow off too. Handle what you need to. I'll cover for you. Your eyes widened. Sir, I can't. You can. He interrupted. You are one of the best people I have here. I'll be waiting until you come back. You let out a shaky breath. I don't even know how to thank you. He gave a faint, tired smile. Don't. Just come back when your head is clear. You nodded slowly, wiping your tears again. I'm sorry I let you down. He shook his head. You didn't. You just had a bad day. Everyone does. For the first time that day, a small smile tugged at your lips, fragile but real. As he stood up to leave, he paused at the door and turned slightly. Oh, and Ryan. He looked up. Yes, sir. His eyes softened just a little. Next time something is wrong, don't carry it alone. I may not look like it, but I listen. Your heart skipped a beat. You wanted to cry, but you just smiled. Thank you. And one more thing. He walked closer. When your brother is better, let's have dinner. Not as your boss. Then as what? Your heart was beating fast. As someone who can't stop thinking about you since you walked into my office 2 years ago. You froze, heart stuttering. He smiled faintly, eyes warm. Go now, he said softly. We'll talk when you are ready. You nodded, too overwhelmed to speak, and walked out, leaving him in the quiet break room where his coldness finally melted for good.